My child won't act his age. I hear this one pretty commonly. I brought home a 12-year-old so that they would be independent, but my son's not independent. What's that about? Or I brought home a 6-year-old, so we didn't have the potty training and the diapers, and I thought we could just kind of go back to life, and what's that about? My 8-year-old still wants to come to my bed at night because he says he's afraid. My 6-year-old still needs me to help her get dressed in the mornings. What's that about? Well, it's a lot about what needs haven't been met. We have some friends who are researchers in Washington who say if you didn't teach your child something, don't assume they know it. We have children coming home from orphanages who've never been in a kitchen. One little Russian girl that I know put her hand in a skillet because she'd never seen something hot on the stove like that, and it turned red, and she seared her hand because she'd never even been in a kitchen. Obviously, some major developmental experiences have been missed, but more importantly and more subtly, brain development has been missed. One of the most powerful studies that I have seen in the last 15 years came out a few years ago. Dr. Arthur Becker Weidman took 57 children who were fostered or adopted. They all had psychiatric diagnoses. And they were, I believe, age 4 to like 17. And the average age of these children was 9 years, 9 months. Dr. Becker Weidman administered a developmental scale called the Vineland Adaptive Developmental Scale. And then he looked at the data on kids that are essentially an average of 10 years of age, 9 years, 9 months. And what he discovered was, in terms of their brain development, capacity for reasoning, capacity for logic, capacity for thinking, problem solving, interacting, although their average chronological age was 9 years, 9 months, their average developmental age was 4 years, 4 months. Stark contrast in terms of what they're really capable of. A child with a physical disability has an advantage because I see this child is crippled. I see this child has an arm missing. I see this child has a cleft palate or a cleft lip. I don't expect them to be able to do some tasks that I would expect of another child their age. But here's this child, 6, 8, 12, 16. They look perfect in every way. And so it's very easy for me to assume they're being belligerent or willful or manipulative or controlling, or they're just being babies. I ask parents, never, never turn away your child when they come to you with a need. Don't say, you are too big to be scared at night. Please don't say that. Don't say, you are too big to ask me to help you tie your shoes. Big boys tie their own shoes. Please don't do that. Remember that they only have brain development as they have trusting, loving, consistent interaction with a caring adult. When your child has a need, celebrate that need. When your child gives you voice, celebrate that they give you voice. When your child tells you something they want, celebrate that they came to you. Make a big deal. If you're afraid and you need to come to me in the night, that's okay. You come anytime you need to come. Daddy and I will snuggle you for 15 minutes, and then look, we're going to put this special pallet beside the bed. Or you can go with me to the mall and buy a special bedroll. We'll keep it rolled up at the foot of the bed. And anytime you're scared, come snuggle with us. And then, because we won't sleep the rest of the night if you're in our bed, you can lay beside the bed and hold our hand. Or we'll come lay down with you and pray with you. Don't give spiritual answers, though. Don't go, I'm praying for you before bedtime, so don't come to me in the night. I know God is real because your fingerprints show me his love. So I will pray for you while I hold you. I will sing a psalm over you while I rock you. I will cradle you and put a Band-Aid on the boo-boo while I tell you of God's love. Meet those needs, celebrate those needs. Your child's brain simply is not the same as a child who's been protected and cared for from conception forward.
At times, I become frustrated with my kids and their behaviors, and I'm tempted to say what I think every parent has been tempted to say. Why don't you just act your age? The reality is that many of our kids come from a history of abuse and neglect and harm, and developmentally, they're not the same age as they are chronologically. I think we can often fall into this trap as parents of adopted and foster kids and looking around and saying, why aren't you more like that 8-year-old or more like that 6-year-old, or why can't you do the same things they can do, or why do you still have fears and issues that they don't have? I never will forget one time one of my little guys came to me and he wanted me to help him do something that frankly every kid his age should be able to do, or at least I thought. And I became visibly frustrated. I was ugly to him for no good reason, only the fact that I was frustrated that he couldn't do something that I thought he could do at his age. And I remember him looking up at me with tears welling up in his eyes, and he said, "Dad, I just need your help. You're the big person here." And I remember thinking vividly, I'm saying to him, why don't you act your age? And it's almost as if he, in his childlike way, with wisdom beyond his years, saying, why don't you act yours? The reality is that we need, as adoptive and foster parents, called by God to come alongside our kids and to help them heal and become whole, we need to celebrate their needs for as long as those needs exist, because it's in meeting those needs that we have the greatest privilege, which is to be all that God's called us to be in their healing journey.